Hello and welcome. My name is John Dickinson, and in this Sapphire tutorial, I'm going to show you how easy it is to create a look using Sapphire Effect Builder by experimentation without having any upfront idea about what you're going to create. So fire up your favorite Sapphire host and let's get started. Okay, so I'm here in After Effects, but we're going to be spending most of our time inside Effect Builder. So go ahead and use whichever host you prefer. In After Effects, I'm just going to make a new composition. It's going to be HDTV 1080 by 25. And click OK. New solid. And I'll make that solid comp size and click OK. All right. Type in S-Effect into the Effect and Presets panel. And hit enter to apply that. So we're starting with a black solid and we're going to build this up from scratch. And I have no idea what we're going to do. Let's just see where the road takes us. So I'll click Edit Effect. Now I've created a lot of presets for Sapphire. I think there's over 800 of my presets in Sapphire now, which is really handy for me because I use Sapphire a lot. And pretty much all of my Sapphire Effect Builder presets are built inside the builder starting from a black solid. So I thought I'd try and build a preset, but this time record it so you can see my workflow. So this is going to be a background, and we need some kind of generator effect. And one of my favorite generator effects is Sapphire Aurora. So I'm just going to type in AUR and double click Aurora to apply that. All right, so that's a little bit small. I'm just going to choose 100% here. I haven't got much screen real estate. I'll just try and make the most of what I have. Let's make some adjustments to this. I want to use this as a generator effect. So first of all, I'll bring softness right down. And swirl complexity. Bring that down a little bit as well. Swirl magnitude. Or maybe something like that. This is pure experimentation. I have no idea about what the final thing will look like. And this is the best way to get the most of your effects in Sapphire. Come into S-Effect and use the builder to really experiment. Let's just make the colors black and white. I'm just going to make that white, and this is just grayscale actually. Just something like that. We can adjust those later if need be. Might just drag these controls around. It's nice to have these widgets inside of the builder now. That was added in 2022.5. And feel free to follow exactly what I'm doing, but you don't have to. So maybe something like that. This has got some auto animation in it as well. And that's being created by the swirl speed. Just make that 0. Yeah, so now we have it completely stationary. I think we should actually undo that and just give it that swirl speed. It's nice to have some motion there. So let's use that as a base. And we'll come back and make some adjustments when we've added some more effects. So I'll just select that one. And just clear that search. And what can we add next? I want to try and build something that I haven't created before. I do tend to gravitate towards specific effects because they're my favorite effects, but it's fun to just grab different kinds of effects that you haven't used and just see what you can do with them. Why don't we try warp perspective? Just double click to apply that. Okay, so what do we got here? We've got latitude, and we've got swing, and we've got distance. Okay, I don't want to do warp perspective. I'm going to delete that because it's not really where I want to go. What about warp polar? I do like the way warp polar kind of stretches this into a circle. Get some nice little flourishes for motion graphics, especially for text. I think I have done this kind of thing before. Imagine if you had, the text in here and just, left justified. That could even be a C, couldn't it? Inner radius. How's that looking? Very nice. Okay. What about angle repeats? Yeah, I have used this before. There's a couple of presets that I've created where I've used this technique. We'll leave angle repeats at its default. Just right click and choose reset to default. And I think I'll leave everything else as it is. Okay, what can we put in next? Our warp vortex. Interesting. Just going to give that a bit of a spin. Is that going to work for me? Now, this isn't any kind of solution that I'm trying to create for a particular motion graphic style that I've already had in mind. So it really is full experimentation. So there's definitely no right or wrong. But this is where you can get a lot of happy accidents. And you can create stuff that maybe you can't use right away, but you will be able to use later on down the line. That's interesting. What if we come back now to Aurora and we turn off preview selected node so we can see the result of our Aurora adjustments. Just increase the brightness. And maybe the softness. Softness is pretty nice. I don't want to lose too much detail. Stroke size makes that a bit thicker. We can also, of course, always adjust the shape of the Aurora as well. Let's come back to warp polar. Remember, all of these are animatable as well. Going to undo that. Outer radius. We can have a look at all of that later. I'm just not convinced about the warp vortex. Going to undo just a little bit. Get back to where we were. There. And take that one off again. Okay, that's where I want to be. Let's try something else. What about warp waves? What about if we put warp waves below Aurora? And we can get a bit of a bend in that. It's quite nice. Okay, I'm going to remove that. And let's try, warp puff. Gives us sort of a puffy look. Well, kind of a glassy look. It's quite nice. I might need to come into Aurora again because we undid that. Let's increase the brightness. Stroke size. I don't like that hard line there. That's really too strong. So maybe we'll take warp polar up above warp puff. And let's just play around with warp puff. I'm going to remove that. This is obviously very strong now. Warp puddle. Now, warp puddle is very specifically like a puddle and not quite what I want. And warp drops will be the same. I'm going to come back to there. Get rid of that again. What about if we go for more of a volumetric lighting kind of feel with it? So we could go, there's a few things we could do here. We could use blur motion, like that. Which is pretty nice. It's kind of a classic look. Try and rotate that a bit. I do like blur motion. I like this rotate feature. Exposure bias. So I do like that, but I don't want it to be all blurred. So let's try this. One of the effects I use a lot for comping inside a builder is S-Layer. So let's type in layer and just select warp polar, double click. So that's applying that to the foreground. So we'll take blur motion and just drop it on warp polar like that. And we'll take warp polar and we'll drop it in the background like that. Select layer and we'll change the mode to screen. So now we can see the blur motion and we can see our aurora. Just do a quick save. I'm just going to type in working for this. So it's starting to look quite interesting, isn't it? Why don't we add some color? So we'll just select layer. I like to colorize using gradient, specifically gradient radial. I'll double click. That's going to cover everything, of course. So let's make this overlay. And we'll make the inner color, let's make it warm, like that. And we'll make the outer color something cool. Maybe something like that. And we need to change the size of this. So I'm just going to roll. Once again, having the HUD here in 2022.5 is fantastic. Okay, let's just change those colors a bit. And something a little more golden. And something a little more towards cyan. Okay. Starting to look interesting. It's going to select everything, Control A, and press Control L to just clean up the selection. Okay, so what can we do now? Let's try, we'll click on warp polar, and let's try some distortion. I used emboss distort a lot for my S-Effect presets in 2022.5. Why don't we try that? Now, where do we want this? We want this to be, we'll disconnect it. We want it to be there because we don't want it to affect that blur motion. Okay. And let's have a look at this bumps. Gives that kind of glassy look. Highlight brightness. Oh, interesting. Okay. Highlight size. and distortion amount. Okay. Let's come back to Aurora. And let's bring these, I'm going to move them around and see what changing them does. Okay. What else can we do with this? Let's try beneath gradient radial. Let's try adding a little bit of ultra glow. Normally this is an effect that I'll apply towards the end of a look. I want to see how this enhances this. So we'll decrease the threshold. You can see how that really adds something. Now, do we want to change the color? Let's see. We want to make it a little warmer. We could do that. We also have an afterglow setting, and we could actually make that warmer. And increase the afterglow width. Increase the threshold. Probably a little too warm. What about we change afterglow to something cool? No, that's not going to work. I think we'll keep it like that. And we'll bring this one back. Yes, that's looking interesting. Come back to blur motion and just have a look at this. That's nice too. See, just bringing that from rotate, bringing that round even more. Okay, so let's try, just save this. Control S. Let's, after ultra glow, let's add some rays. Yeah, nice. So we're getting, that's nice. See how we're getting that sort of more 3D feel now? And the rays are only really reacting to the brightest areas. What I also really like to do is use bokeh lights to add some little particles in there. So we'll put those below gradient radial. So bokeh lights. And let's use a preset for this because I've set up a preset specifically for what I want to do. So if we click load preset, and in version 2022, I created a source user preset. So let's just load that. Okay, so this has the use source set to 1. See, use source color. So it's only going to actually add particles to where the color is of the layers above that, or the layers that created the base. You can see there's nothing here in the darker areas. So let's change the softness, bring that down. And what else? Let's bring the size right down. We want this to be really small, almost like dust. Well, it actually doesn't look too bad when they're bigger, does it? But I'll bring them down. Something like, let's try this, 0.025. Okay, and let's bring the number up. So that will be the lights value. Make that 500. And these are going to drift around, but they're only going to be visible where you can see the color of the layers below, or the effects that create the layers below. See? So with the volumetric light and the particles, you're getting a lot of depth in it. That's looking pretty nice. Quick save. Often I'll get to a stage where I really like the look, and then I'll just take it a little bit further to see if there's anything else I can do. And 9 times out of 10, I'll strip those other effects out. But so far, this is looking pretty good. Let's just see what else we can add. Maybe some sort of colorization. And we can use Color Fuse for that. So this is Color Fuse Looks inside of Sapphire Builder. So if we double click Color Fuse Looks and click on Load Preset, let's see. Now we're not getting a preview here. I'm just going to cancel that. And I'm not entirely sure why there's not a preview there. Just going to click Load Preset again. And we should be getting a preview of the layers. If you're not getting one, just leave a comment, and what I'll do is I'll file a bug report for that. For now, I'm just going to use the thumbnails and see if I can zero in on something. Maybe something like that. I quite like that. Yeah, that looks good. It could do with a little bit of gamma adjustment though, so I'm going to stick gamma below that. And let's see. Scale lights. We'll bring scale lights up. That's too much. And what about offset in the dark? So crushing it a little bit. Bring that back down to about there. Come back to Color Fuse Looks. And we're only using one LUT there. I might just bring that back a bit. All right, looking pretty interesting. It's got a kind of spacey feel to it. All right, so I'm going to roll my mouse wheel so I can see what's going on here. Might just try one more thing. Let's try adding a transition in here. You can actually add transitions inside of Sapphire Effect. I want to see if there's anything that might make this look even more interesting. These wipe ones are particularly good. Let's grab Wipe Double Wedge and let's stick it here. So we've got Emboss Distort coming into the foreground. And is that the best place for it? We need something to come into the background. So maybe bring that into the background. And bring that into the foreground. So we've got Warp Polar coming down into Blur Motion, which is giving us that blur. We've got Warp Polar coming into the foreground of this Wipe Double Wedge and also into the background. So if we select that, let's play around with the wipe percent. Yeah, so there you go. So now you can use the transition and we can see both the Warp Polar affected by Emboss Distort in the background and not affected by Emboss Distort in the foreground, which adds a kind of fractured look to it, which makes it look really interesting, doesn't it? It is starting to blow out a little bit. I think we probably need to come in and maybe adjust the gamma. I think scale lights could probably be reset. Yeah, that's much better. And I would like to just select Aurora and just soften it up a little bit. Yeah, it's just a little bit strong. Let's make that 0.002. Maybe 0.003 or 4. Just, I want the detail, but I don't want the aliasing that I was seeing. So that's quite a nice look, isn't it? Maybe the blue is a little strong. I'll make that a little bit lighter. And I think that's pretty good to give you an idea about how you can build up a look starting from scratch in SEffect. And there is a lot of experimentation involved, as you can see. Last thing I want to do is just set this up for use inside of After Effects or whatever host you're using. So we'll start with Aurora. We'll come up and we'll just deselect all of the parameters by clicking on this checkbox here. And just include a few that might be useful inside of the host. So I'm just going to click these two for the color. And maybe stroke size and brightness and softness for that. Warp polar. Do we need to be able to adjust the angle? I think so. That'd be great. So deselect and select that. And what about centering it or changing? No, that wouldn't look any good. So inner radius. So I go through and I'll just play around with the parameters and just work out which ones are going to be the most useful to have direct access to in the host. Maybe that one, we can just turn that one on. Emboss distort. I don't know, we can probably come back into the builder and change any of those settings. So I'm just going to deselect that because we are limited to the number of effects that we can actually add parameters to in the host. Blur motion, definitely. From rotate, we can change that direction if we want to. Maybe to rotate as well, and brightness. For wipe double wedge, we definitely want the wipe %. And what about the angle? Bit hard to tell what's going on there, but that's okay. What about if we preview selected node? And I think wipe % is probably enough. Edge softness, you could add that in. It's up to you. Layer 1, we don't need anything. We'll just turn that off. Gradient radial. All we really want for this one is the two colors. Bokeh lights. Pretty much just the number, which is lights. So we can come back and make any adjustments to that. Ultra glow. Just deselect and we'll just choose threshold, color, and brightness. And raise. Definitely want threshold for this one. And we could probably put ray color. And what else? Color fuse looks, we don't need anything. And gamma. So for gamma, we'll just choose, what did we do? Offset darks. Like that. So we go ahead and save this. Currently it's going to save as working, which is what I named the previous one. So I'd have to save it as. And now we can adjust that title, give it some sort of, space portal or some name. Give it a description, add some tags, and just save that. I'm not going to save that right now. If you did want to have it as a favorite, you can just check this little star. I'm going to cancel, discard. I'm going to click OK. All right, so now back in After Effects, there's the parameters that I've made visible inside of this host. And that's going to make things just a little bit easier to get instant access to and make quick adjustments. All right, so hopefully that's given you some insight into how I use SEffect and the Sapphire Builder to create my Sapphire Effect Builder backgrounds. Leave a comment if you have a question, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial.